Hello everybody, it's Anthony here from Cutting Edge Guitar. Today I'm going to be presenting to you the third and final part of my Cutting Edge alternate picking series. In the last two lessons we've looked at linear concepts and positional concepts. Today's lesson we're going to look at combining those two entities to make full fretboard runs with this technique. Okay, so instead of being locked into playing on one string or playing across a position, what we're going to be able to do is combine positions and movement so that we can play scalar areas which will cover more of the fretboards. Things like this. So at certain points what I've done is I've played parts of a position and then I've slid along strings using the linear approach to connect different areas up. So in one movement I've gone from here to here using the technique. There are 10 examples in this lesson. There is, as I've done before, there is a link in the description to a blog post that has tabs, more description and downloadable features, downloadable bonuses that go along with the lesson. So check that out if you want to see a tab, but let's get right into it with the 10 examples. So example number 1 is a string crossing exercise based on the top two strings. Okay, as I've done with all of my cutting edge technique lessons so far, they're all in A natural minor. So what we're doing is we're taking this part of A natural minor and combining it with a couple of the adjacent positions to make a repetition exercise that just looks at going back and forward through those different areas. Then what you do once you get to that point, you come back on yourself to the previous position and then start again at position 1 and then just repeat. And as always, you want to build your speed gradually with a metronome and all that sort of thing. I've put all of that stuff in the additional post. But when you get it up to tempo, it sounds something like this. Now, if you're not necessarily from a rock background, you might be thinking, oh, I don't want to play that stuff. It's all, shred technique and all that sort of thing. That's not really the case, actually. Having really good technique is something that you can use in any genre of music. So if you like modern rock, metal, fusion, shred guitar, jazz guitar, I mean anything that you like that's technically minded, you'll find use for practicing these concepts. Essentially all it is taking two adjacent strings of a scale and playing them back and forward with this crossing pattern. I've put loads of extra information in the downloadable information about how you can play this in loads of different scales, loads of different keys and all that sort of thing, which actually helps expand your fretboard knowledge as well as just your technique. If you think that at the moment, as I'm doing this, I'm also having to think about where the actual notes are of the A natural minor scale. So with 3 notes per string playing, a lot of students of the guitar get locked in to playing up and down across the width of the neck with those 3 notes per string, but they don't necessarily understand how to play this way along the neck. So of course this is why I've done this lesson in that progressive manner. If you can play along the length of strings and through positions, combining them becomes easier, hence unlocking the whole fretboard. So that's example 1. Example number 2 is basically the same idea, but we're going to take it through a lot more of the scale. Okay, so what we're going to do once you've bedded in the basic foundation of that technique is we're going to take it all the way up to this high position of the scale up here. So we're kind of starting around position 7 if you're thinking 3 notes per string, or position 1 if you're thinking about the cage system. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work it all the way up to the fretboard so that I'm ending in the same position, an octave higher, and I can exit on the A. So we get this. I mean, you could exit to any note that you want on this. You can be playing this kind of idea over any of the modes in the key or anything. So if you wanted to exit it to the C, you can do that. If you're playing it over a C chord of some description or whatever, I'm exiting to the A on the tab, so that's why I've done it on there. But yeah, if when you're watching this video, if you're thinking, well, you're going through these too fast, I can't keep up. One thing, pause the video, skip back, watch little parts, you know, just go through those sorts of things like that. But also, it's why I've put the tabs in there, because, you know, for some students it would be a bit frustrating if I went through this really, really slowly. They just want to see it in motion and what have you. So use the pause button, go and follow the tabs, see all that through. And of course, if you've got any questions about any of this, drop me a line in the comments. I'll be happy to help. So I'll go through example 2 again, and then I'll be able to play it up to speed. Said that I was exiting to the A, didn't I? And then I exited to the C, whatever. Right, let's go all the way through the lick up to speed if we can. Not feeling very warm this morning, so let's see what happens. And again. One more time. Okay, so that's example 2. Example number 3. This is kind of based on the sort of thing that you might hear Vinnie doing. If you're not familiar with Vinnie, he is an absolutely first-class rock guitar player. He's expanded into doing a few more things other than the rock thing, but he came to fame doing neoclassical rock stuff in the sort of shrapnel era shred guitar movement. He's played with UFO, he's got a really good solo career where he does loads of bluesy things and some fusiony things and all that stuff. He's just a class guitar player. One of the things that he's doing, and this is what I've put into example 3, is where he will combine forwards motion and reverse motion type ideas in one lick. So what you'll do is you'll maybe ascend one portion of a scale form and then come straight down the next one. Ascend again, and back down, and then exit to whatever note you want to. In this case I'm exiting to a C, because I'm thinking that this is like a C major type lick. And up to tempo. Okie dokie. Example number 4. This one is almost lifted off of a Paul Gilbert tune called Technical Difficulties. It's not exactly the same thing because it's in a totally different key, but it's pretty much the same idea in a different key. It's one of the best alternate picking run type things that you'll ever come across. If you don't know Paul's playing, definitely check it out. If you don't know the song Technical Difficulties, check that out too, because it is just an absolute feast of alternate picking technique. So what we're doing in this one, we're ascending a small portion of position 7 of C major, and then what we're going to do is go into position 1 of the scale. Again, if you don't know the scales, I mean, all throughout the Cutting Edge Technique series I've added scale forms, diagrams and the rest of it, and in all of the different techniques I've done, so the legato thing, I've added a few of these diagrams into picking lessons as well, so just go and download them. You've got, sorry, I'll go over that again. So up position 7, into position 1, and then we're going to descend this in groups of 6. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then you would start that group again from the B string, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, into your G string, and then carry on through the whole scale. Now when we get down to the bottom, what we're going to do is move down to position 7 and just ascend until we hit that A. I suppose really that's putting us in like an A minor territory, because that's where the tonal centre seems to be. Now, I've just done something as I've gone to play my rhythm power chord there. I've flicked my switch, my pickup selector switch, to my death bucker at the back, all of the licks that I've done so far, I've been using my front humbucker. You'll find with this technique that the front humbucker, or your front pickup if it's a single coil or whatever, is a bit more forgiving for the alternate picking technique. Okay, I would urge you to try different pickup selections to see what you prefer. Obviously, if you move your pick up and down the length of the string, you're going to get different tones. Experiment and see what sounds good to your ears. So if I play example 4 up to tempo on my neck pickup, I might just drop it back to my back pickup so we can see a tonal difference. Back pickup there, the tone is less forgiving, isn't it? It sounds really aggressive. It still sounds cool, but it's less forgiving. So you'll find that with the alternate picking technique, your front pickup is just going to warm things up a little bit. Okay, moving on to example number 5. What we've got in example number 5 is another Paul Gilbert style run, which comes from his tune Curse of the Castle Dragon. Anyone who's looked through my other YouTube videos that I've got, I've done a number of like performance videos and things like that. When I first started out in private teaching many a year ago and I set up my website, I thought it would be a good idea to just have a gallery with some videos of me playing. It's all well and good having a nice pretty website, but how do people know if you can teach guitar without having seen you play the guitar? That was my thinking anyway. So I did a cover of Curse of the Castle Dragon, so you might want to check that one out. In fact, that's not a visual video, so to speak. I've recorded the MP3 and then just hosted it on YouTube. So you can't see me play that one, but you will hear it. The lick in the middle of this tune is using octave displacement, something that we've talked about in the rest of the Cutting Edge Technique series. What we're doing is we're taking this portion of A natural minor up through 3 octaves. So that's the first thing that you want to practice with that, just getting those off. Not easy to do at speed with the transitions. And then the last thing we're going to do is a massive string skip down to this portion of a harmonic minor. So what I'm doing there, instead of playing the G that would be an A natural minor, I've actually changed it to a G sharp to make it harmonic minor. So we get... we have example number 5. Example number 6 is something that is based on a Jason Becker tune called Altitudes. So this is another one that I did a cover of in the early days. When I say I've done covers of these things, I'm not for one second trying to say that I'm as good a guitar player as a Paul Gilbert or a Jason Becker, or I did a Guthrie Govan tune as well at some point. You know, these guys are like the best guitar players that have ever lived, the best players that are on the planet. My goal with putting their stuff out and even teaching the methods of what these people are doing in these lessons is not really for me to say, look at me, look how good I am, I can play like these guys, because that's not really the thing. It's more actually about these guys, we put them up on such a pedestal, like a godlike pedestal, and we kind of think, well, we're not going to be able to play like them because we're just normal people. And to be fair, with a lot of practice and diligent study, you can learn the methods of what these people are doing, okay? It's just all about practicing the right things in the right time. So like I say, I've put my covers of those things up there, not to say I'm as good as a Jason Becker, because I know that I'm not. But I think if somebody wants to come and take a lesson from me, if I can get somewhere near a Jason Becker tune, they're going to be thinking, actually, this guy, he knows his stuff and he's studied hard. So that's what it's more about, really. Well, check out my cover of Altitudes, see what you think. Let me know what you think in the comments. So example 6 is a run that's based on something similar to what Jason's doing in that tune. It's just lots of sextuplet patterns, and we're using string skipping, big portions of the fretboard. It comes out like this. So the thing with that one, what we're doing is we're using basically several different positions of A natural minor, going across the fretboard, connecting them up, but also string skipping so that we're getting wider intervals. One of the things that's tricky with that exercise is when you do, you might want to experiment with either using fingers 1, 3 and 4 or 1, 2 and 3 at that point. This one is really hard, so I'm going to tempt this one up to some sort of tempo. I'll give it a few goes, see what happens, see if I can get a clean one. As I say, I'm not particularly warmed up for this morning, so the thing is with this, make sure you do a proper full-on warm-up before you attempt these, because these examples are really difficult to do. Okay, example number 7, again is something which is based on Vinnie Moore's playing. This one is a run that's in his tune Morning Star. Again, this is another one that I've done a lot of work on. I did put a cover version of this, or I've turned this tune into an etude actually. I've sort of chopped it around and it's an etude that I give to my students to learn. There is a video of me playing that on my YouTube channel, so check that out. That one was shot on an iPhone and it doesn't have iPhone audio, but it's not the best audio, but it's still good enough for you to see the gist of what I'm doing in the etude. So check that out for the full thing. This particular run, example number 7, what we're doing here is basically we're going to go down, it's A natural minor again, we're going to go down position 6, move into position 6, I've said the wrong thing entirely. Not position 6 of A natural minor at all, it's position 3, sorry. Then we've got position 2, down into position 1. Again, consult the tab and the fretboard diagrams that I've put in the tutorial so that you can see what exactly is what's happening there, but I'll do that slowly for you again. And an up to tempo one. Okay, example number 8. This one is just, it's a really big portion of the fretboard being used in, again, modes of C major. So what I'm doing with this is the fret area, and I'm going to come through a couple of strings up to the G string before transitioning into the next position, and I'm going to play all the way through to the high E string. Now what I'm going to do is use the top 2 string pairs to keep moving along the neck. Before my final exit to the 17th fret. And up to speed. Okay, example number 9. what we're doing with this one, we're going to transition to a 16th note rhythm pulse. And what we're going to be doing with this one, again, is using 4 notes on certain strings, okay? So as I'm doing the first position of this, what I'm then going to do is slide along to the next position in 3 notes per string. This is a bit like the connected 3 notes per string ideas I was talking about in my legato lesson. So what I've got there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That next beat slides into a new position, and I've used 4 notes on that string. So there's several points in this where I'm using 4 notes per string with slides to use a huge part of the guitar neck. Okay, that's example 9. And the final example for this lesson, number 10, is a pentatonic idea, because of course you can't really do guitar lessons like this without talking about the minor pentatonic scale. But this isn't regular minor pentatonics. We're not looking at the caged positions, the 5 shapes. I've used 3 notes per string pentatonics with this. Again, I talk about 3 notes per string minor pentatonic in all the legato examples, so if you're unfamiliar with that format for pentatonics, look up those lessons. Basically what we're doing is we're taking different cage shapes of the 5 shapes of the minor pentatonic, and if you push them together, so like I'm doing position 1 here and position 2, if I borrow from position 2 I can get 3 notes on 1 string. And the only way that this works without doubling up notes really is to play diagonal forms. So the form that I'm using for this lick looks like this. So that's all minor pentatonic still, it's just a very different way of using minor pentatonic to your average. What I'm doing for this particular lick is I'm adding a doubled sextuplet pattern into it, so on every string I'm going to do this. So you play each string twice. Slowly again. And I shall attempt some up-to-tempo versions. And there we have it, guys. They are the 10 examples that are in this lesson. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be doing another mini-series on the sweep picking technique. That is all for the cutting edge alternate picking technique in this lesson. If you check out previous, you'll see that I've done a legato mini-series. So there's 3 lessons in that one. There's 3 lessons on the picking technique for this one. And as I say, if you subscribe to the channel, what's coming next is the sweep picking technique. Don't forget to check out the blog post so that you can see all of the tabs. Make sure that you download the stuff that's on there. It is free to download, but if you have enjoyed the lessons and you really want to help me find the time to get more of this stuff done, you can make a contribution to help me out. That's all for now. So I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. If you've got any questions, comments, just drop me a line in the comments or visit me at my website, anthonygeorgeguitar.com. Okay guys, I'll see you in the next lesson.